Do you want to give us an MF Global update first or get into the top trends first? And then I want to air this clip of the head of the CME group confirming, so he's gone from criticizing you to now agreeing with you and saying Corzine did take the money and is lying.
Well, the update is this. So far, I've gotten, they've reinstituted about 70% of the lost funds in my type of account. Having said that, it's only part of the story, because what happened is when they closed out my positions, I remember I bought gold at $1,443 an ounce that I was going to pick up in December. When they took all the money out, they closed the positions down the day they went bankrupt. And they, remember I showed you the corrected statement? It was now $1,765 an ounce, not $1,443. So when they went bankrupt and they closed, and my positions closed out in December, I had to sell them. And I didn't buy them, according to them, at $1,443. I bought them at $1,765. So I had to eat those losses. So now I have that problem on my hand. Now, here's the best part of the deal. You know, I want whatever money I have, I want to get it back, right? So I call up the broker. Remember, the way they got the name broker is that you're broker than when you started. That's how they made the name up. So now I call them up. I said, listen, wire transfer whatever money I have in there, get it into my bank. Check it out. We can't do that. We're going to send you a check. I said, what do you mean you can't wire transfer me? I said, you guys never quit. You're really quick to take the money when I wire transfer it in, but you won't get it out. So they won't wire transfer the money. I haven't received it yet, and now you know that story. Now it takes time for the check to clear and on and on. Now, in saying this, it's very important because, as you well know, I went public with this to warn people that what you think you have in your account really isn't yours, because they have all of these loopholes in place where your money is only as safe as the last loophole that they put in. And I don't care who it's with. It makes no difference.
By the way, I tried to go to a local bank and follow my own advice and get out some cash, and it wasn't even, quote, above the amount where they file a FinCEN deal. You know, and they acted like my wife was a crook, freaked out, and then started calling me saying, we need to know your wife's occupation. It's got to go in the Federal Financial Crimes Enforcement file. And I'm like, for less than $10,000? But even if it was $10,000, I mean, what on earth? I mean, this country is a giant prison, Gerald. Everywhere, you're treated like trash. And then all these little people, they get off on enforcing it on others. It's sick. It's like a nation of maggots.
You know, you really hit on it. You know, as I've been saying, you know, your money isn't yours unless you have it. End of story. Last Wednesday, I called up HSBC, and I told them that I was coming in Thursday morning at 9:30 in the morning to make a withdrawal. I gave them the amount. They said they only could give it to me in hundreds and fifties. If I wanted to wait until Monday, I could get it in hundreds. I said, that's fine. I'll take it in 150s. I couldn't make it at 9:30. I had my assistant call them up. Mrs. Slenti will be in at 2:30. I go there with the check, hand it to the person I was talking to on the phone. It was like I never called. Now they tell me I have to go over. I have this video on our site. I have to go over and talk to the bank manager. So I go over there. I sit down. She looks at me, and you talked about it, these power-hungry little people. She said to me, this is a sizable amount of money. What are you going to use it for? So I said, how about none of your business? She said, that's not very friendly. I said, how about none of your effing business? How dare you ask me what I'm going to do with my money? She said, well, you have to comply. I said, you didn't ask me how I got the money in there, and now you're asking me what I'm going to do with it?
They're saying you're a criminal. They imply you're a criminal.
Exactly. This went on for 40 minutes. I'm talking to people all over the HSBC chain. First, she tells me to leave the office. She has to talk to compliance officers.
Yeah, that's like these people that get arrested now for trying to get their own money out. Wait, are you saying you have a video where you break this down, or there's video of this?
No, I have video where I break it down. I wish I did have a video.
You want to go back in there? Oh, my God. Tell us what else happened, Gerald. Break this. Oh, my gosh.
And I'll tell you her name. Her name was Penny Demo. Try demolition. And I told her, I said, you know, I'm going to make you famous. I'm going to tell everybody what a jerk you are, and how dare you ask me what I do with my money, and now you're telling me you have to make a call to somebody, and I can't be in the room as you talk about my money. So now this goes on, and it goes on, and I'm demanding to talk to other people. I get some woman said, Mr. Salenti, now, you should have called the bank up ahead of time. And I said, I called yesterday. My assistant called again today. She said, but we have to know what you're doing with your money. I said, listen, if she didn't tell you, I'll tell you. It's none of your damn business what I do with my money. Now, listen, I know I could have said, I'm going to buy a car, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I said, screw this, I'm not telling him anything. She said to me, well, Uncle Sam wants to know. I said, listen, tell Uncle Sam to give me a call, and we could talk about it.
Well, let's stop right there. I did the same thing, but I didn't go in. I came in here Friday so angry that I was bouncing off the walls because they were calling me over and over again Thursday. I finally start talking to them at this local bank, and the guy's like, sir, we've got to fill out this report on you to the feds. And I'm like, well, why is it any of their business? He goes, sir, we're not spying on you. And I said, what do you mean you're not spying? You got to fill a report out to me on the feds. He goes, well, new rules are coming in and blah, blah, blah. I said, I thought it was above this amount. This is below that amount. We're sorry, sir. Don't be paranoid. We know about your radio show. Oh, so I'm the paranoid one that in America, this isn't even that much money. I mean, I might be able to buy a golf cart with it maybe. I mean, not even a car. That in America, I can't even get some cash out without being treated like trash. And that's what this whole system is about with Patriot Act compliance, is turning everybody into little agents, having them all spy. So then I start yelling at them. This is in the morning at home. My wife runs in, what's wrong? I say, you talk to him. She calls him back. She starts yelling because they start telling her she's paranoid. Then I call them back. Then they're acting all weird. Then they wouldn't come to the phone. I said, I'm coming down there if you don't get on the phone. So then, oh, the guy that was at lunch at 10:30 in the morning, he's now there and comes and gets on the phone. But again, you're absolutely right, Gerald. I've got you here as a guest. I'm ranting. Let's continue. So did you ever even get your money?
Yeah, I got my money. But what I'm telling you, and this is why I kept going public with what's going on, they don't have the money. Yeah, they have the money, but they need your money so they can keep gambling. Doesn't anybody get it? That's why the CME group, although that big mouth Clarence Terry is saying that, or Terrence Duffy is saying that they have $100 billion. They couldn't come up with $1.2 billion to cover the bad bets. That's like all of Las Vegas closing down because one casino can't cover the bets. They don't have the money. This whole thing is financially leveraged beyond what Ponzi could have ever imagined.
Yes.
So what they're doing is they're trying to make it as impossible as it can be for you to get your hands on your money because they need it to gamble. So what I'm telling everybody is if you don't have your money in your pocket, you don't own it. Period, paragraph. And as I said, the first trend, and I broke it on your station before anybody else, I told you, Watch out for economic martial law. It's coming.
Well, that is trend number one, and I thought we only had you for 30. You've been gracious enough. Jaron told me in my ear you've said you're staying a little bit into the next hour, so that's good news, and I want to go over these. But in closing to the guy, I said, I'm not going to tell you what my wife does here at my company. I said, this is a private checking account. This is after-tax money. This is how we pay for, you know, our gas, our food, everything. This is how we pay for babysitters. I said, you understand this is a private checking account. And he said, I still need to know this. I need to know that. And, you know, we have to tell the feds what you're doing with the money. And I said to the guy, I said to him, I said, you tell them then I'm not a criminal like them, caught laundering trillions of dollars of drug money in the last decade. I'm not like Wells Fargo, caught laundering $376 billion, source Bloomberg AP. I said, I'm not like the big banks that run this country and have stolen trillions of dollars. I said, you realize I'm in a little local bank because the big mega banks are the ones that run the country and run the Ponzi scheme. And the guy finally said, yes, I understand. I apologize for, implying that we're not spying on you. And I said, what you're saying is the feds are telling you to spy. And he goes, yes. And I said, that's fine. But now I've got to have some money in there to, like, pay for some things with checks. I've got to have a business account to pay my employees. But, I mean, you're right, Gerald. I mean, I guess I built a giant vault in here or something with armed guards and pay people myself, like the Old West or something. I mean, you just cannot trust these people, and they treat you like a piece of garbage.
And again, they don't ask you where you got the money when you put it into the account. But, boy, they don't...
That's what my wife said.
This is my money, and they won't give it to me. Oh, by the way, I wrote about this before when I used to deal with Key Bank. It was the same bunch of crap. And I brought one of my colleagues with me when it started getting really ugly so I would have proof. They don't have the money. They don't want to give it to you. And I'm warning everybody, do what you want to do. I could care less. All I'm saying is they're going to screw you. And these are, and you keep using the word global, on and on. Let's make it really clear during this Christmas time. The only time that Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace, became violent is when he picked up a whip to drive the money changers out of the temple. If Jesus Christ becomes violent, I can become angry when the money changers are giving it to me.
I agree.
And the money changers now are in charge of every temple in Athens, in Rome, in Washington. It's the bankers, the criminals that Christ violently beat out of the temple that are ripping this nation and the world apart.
They're open criminals.
Because they're money junkies. They're addicts. They can't get enough.
We're about to go to break, but in 20 seconds, how long did it take for you to get your money? You had to go get witnesses?
40 minutes. 40 minutes it took me to get my money.
And you know they put a bunch... I'd find out what they put in that report to pop a Fed. I tell you, we've got to fill out a report to give it to the criminals that grow the opium in Afghanistan, known as the U.S. government. Gerald Celente is our guest. We'll get into his top trends straight ahead. He's with us into the next hour, then your calls.